Get the Friendo Club set up today and get access to over 700 Going In Raw bonus episodes, our monthly Big Blue predictions challenges, and the ability to ask questions at Going In Raw. We also offer the Steven Larson comic book and exclusive Friendo Club t-shirt. Just hit join here at youtube.com/Steven Larson or go to patreon.com/Steven Larson to sign up. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. This episode of Changed Up the Graphics just a little bit to reflect our new, last, undisputed real champion in WWE, from Bruno Sammartino to John Cena. It ends with him, Larson, because he's going home.
Maybe. We'll see. Or remains to be seen. That's the story for the year. But the story heading into WrestleMania, of course, was John Cena turning heel and The Rock's involvement in all that at Elimination Chamber. We haven't seen Dwayne since Elimination Chamber. And The Rock explained on an appearance during today's Pat McAfee show why he wasn't at WrestleMania to further his involvement in that story. These transcripts come to you from WrestlingNews.co. This is what The Rock had to say. Quote, "I knew then the best thing for the final boss is we've established this thing with Cody's soul. I don't want to be involved in that. Let the final boss step back into the shadows. Let all the spotlight go to John and Cody. Not make it about Cody's soul or John's soul. Let them do what they do. I called John and Cody after the Elimination Chamber, and I said, I think the final boss's work is done. We just pulled off the greatest angle in wrestling history. I'm always here if you need me, but it's best for the final boss to not be involved in that finish." He continues, "They know when I come to them and I lay this out, and here's how I really feel how it should go. We can insert the final boss into the finish, but where do we go? I can get involved. Why get involved in that finish when that should be just focused on John, 17-time champion, and what 2025 looks like? This is the anchoring storyline. The soul will go back to it." So what's the point of The Rock's involvement in all this to begin with?
So, you know, the funny thing about this is that you can totally give a storyline explanation as to why he hasn't been around. Travis Scott's his proxy. That's his guy, right?
Yeah.
He says, hey, go help John Cena. I'm going to remain in the shadows. Like, that part of it.
So get this. He was asked about Travis Scott's appearance at WrestleMania. This is what he had to say. "I was very surprised to see Travis Scott, but that made people wait for the final boss. I would have adjusted things." So he doesn't even take that tact.
Okay. I mean, dude, like,
that would have been the easiest way to explain it.
I honestly wish he simply would have said, me and the creative at WWE couldn't get on the same page, so I elected not to participate. Because that's 1,000% in between the lines. That's the subtext of this. That's not even diplomatic, what he said. What he said was passive aggressive. That's what he said. Yeah, this is the first time, you told me that you had this quote because I went to the gym before this. So I haven't read the notes at all. This is the first time me reading this. And this is The Rock being passive aggressive. That's what that is.
Could be.
What's your take on it?
Like, I don't know. I don't know what The Rock's angle is at any given moment. I don't know. Because you juxtapose John Cena, who says, all right, I'm going to take this year, do my last run with the company, and I'm going to make the time in my busy schedule to make sure it happens in a satisfying way, in a way that's creatively interesting to me. And then you have The Rock, on the other hand, who shows up, gets involved in one segment, and is gone for months. And it's enough of an involvement that gets you thinking about the possibilities.
Gets you excited about the possibilities.
But since he's unwilling or unable to commit, none of the things that seem possible, I'm going to say ever, rarely the things that seem possible actually happen. And so at the end, it just feels kind of like unfulfilled potential. It feels unsatisfying. because I understand his point about saying, it's John breaking the record. The moment should be on, or the spotlight should be John at that moment, and I get that. There's a way you could go about getting to that point where creatively, narratively, it feels satisfying. You set that up. You know what I mean? They just didn't do that.
I think the bigger thing is, I don't disagree with you at all. I think if you simplify it and just sort of take it big picture here, The Rock showed up and stood next to Cena. You'd think that The Rock would be at least someone involved in the rest of the build, or at least show up at the show so we get more of that dynamic. And we didn't get that. And that's fine because, it's fine to a degree. That would have been, I'll put it this way, that would have been ideal. Mm-hmm. What we got, in my estimation, is still all right because, at least the build, simply because we got some really interesting stuff with Cena. We got the heel promo stuff. It wasn't as fun or as good as the Final Bosses stuff with Cody last year. And looking back, it might have been cooler if we had more of that approach with Cena as opposed to a couple of heel promos and he ate a bunch of crossroads. But, Cena's doing this thing right now. Dude, there was the report out there that one of the pitches, I think from Rock's side of thing, was Cody goes heel. And maybe he had what he perceived as a really good idea for that. And they didn't want to execute it. Maybe the idea was Cody was going to be the Rock's proxy against John Cena, and John Cena would prevail and get that title if the idea was always going to be Cena at WrestleMania to get the 17th title. And maybe going that way wasn't the thing.
So in the same appearance, he talked about the Genesis's whole idea.
He's going to contradict everything I just said.
This is what he said. He said, I had an idea. The most important thing about the final boss is that he wants your soul. Cody, I want to make your dreams come true. It was a test to see how people would react if Cody sold out. I didn't want to make Cody heel yet, but I did want to give him reasons to do so. I talked to Triple H about it, and he suggested Cena turn heel.
Okay, then yeah. Then
he wanted to plant the seed of a Cody heel turn.
Yeah.
And let that.
And when he says yet, maybe Rock wanted to happen at WrestleMania. And if that was the case, Rock would have been on board, and maybe that's where the thing would have gone down. I don't know. It does seem like The Rock had some creative ideas and dude, look, this isn't new. He's got enough stroke to come in and say, hey, here's my ideas. And Triple H seemingly has enough stroke to say, no, Rock, we're going to do this instead. And The Rock has enough stroke to say, okay, I'm going to go then. And I will return when you and I can get on the same page. But ultimately, Triple H has got the power.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And I still think that even though, look, I know a lot of people dog the main event, you and I including, but the basics of it in terms of Cena versus Cody, Travis Scott comes in and helps Cody. If you don't listen to The Rock's words here, it makes some amount of storyline sense because Travis Scott was the Dennis Rodman of
you could
their
piece
crew.
It together. Yeah.
Right. You can consider Rock in the shadows pulling the strings still, even if Dwayne Johnson says, no, this was not how I wanted to go, and I was surprised to see Travis Scott, and none of this is what you think it is. Yeah. Well, you don't have to listen to that guy to take what we have in the story on television and apply it to the main event. Is it the most satisfying possible way they could have gone? Could Rock had just simply played along with this whole thing? Yeah, he could have. But that's
he
not
played along
his
last
thing.
year, and that's the extent of it.
Well, yeah, I mean they didn't, they didn't go the way he wanted to go, no. and yeah, I mean evidently they can't do the thing where you come in at Bad Blood, set something up with the hopes that everybody will work well down the line. God dang, Gort's better write a freaking book.
I know.
In 2035, so we can one day find out what the real story
All
was.
the power plays going on backstage about people trying to influence creative for their own benefit. Yep.
I mean, I just wonder if it's a series. I wonder. You're right. It's probably a series of conversations between Triple H, the Rock's people, and TKO's people. And at the end of the day, Ari Emanuel, whoever the highest dude at TKO was that the Rock appealed to, probably just said, it's their thing, and we're not going to rock that particular boat, which is fascinating given how powerful the Rock is.
Yeah, at the same time, I would assume that Triple H has a good measure of leverage given the run WWE is on. After all, WWE is on what, Steve?
He claims they're on fire. At least
right,
he
there
did
you go.
6 months ago in that promo.
Yeah. So I imagine Triple H himself has a good amount of leverage given how well the company is doing right now.
Well, hey, let me ask you this.
What?
Given how volatile backstage politics can be in wrestling, do you find it likely that the higher ups at TKO want stability and appreciate stability, and they understand that there's got to be one guy steering the ship, or in not one guy, but like when you have Triple H and Nick Khan, I imagine they fill very unique and distinct roles in what they do, and they seem to work really well together.
They seem to be on the same page, yeah.
And I wonder if the higher ups at TKO are thinking, hey, this is $1 billion company that we're running here. We can't have people coming in. And part of the reason why it's on fire is you need stability in the product.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they just have like a level head about that, where Dwayne can't come in and say, hey, Ari, I got these great ideas. Well, we got a guy to do that. He's here every week.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that would be the situation where Rock's making his pitches, I assume the response would be, take it up with Triple H.
I wonder if that's the case.
Take it up with Nick Khan.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the case.
It seemingly that based on the evidence we have, it seems likely that whatever discussions happen creatively, at the end of the day, Triple H has the final call on what makes it to TV and what doesn't.
I wonder if there was ever, last year we heard a lot of stuff. And I wonder if there was ever a time when Gewurz was close to becoming the new head of creative. I mean, we had, Rock came in, obviously wanted to do some stuff. And given how crazy shit just generally is in the entertainment industry, it's not, I don't think out of the realm of possibility that there could have been a pretty major power play, and that ended up not. I mean, they got to the point where Cody acquiesced his spot on SmackDown to The Rock.
Yeah.
If they weren't able to swing that the other way, then who knows where we'd be right now.
Yeah,
you
true.
take a little bit, what is it? You take an inch, grab a mile,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's all interesting, and hopefully one day there will be some sort of.
You want the tell-all.
I mean, I don't know how you get that from.
Or at least tell most.
Well, I don't know how you get that with only one person's perspective.
Yeah.
There would need to be some sort of.
So you want books from Brian Gewurz?
Well,
Cody.
like. Somebody who can tie it all together and try to come up with some sort of. I don't know who would be that person that would have that kind of access.
Yeah.
What's the dude's name that does the Masked Man podcast? He's on a bunch of.
David Shoemaker?
Yeah.
Shoemaker,
I think he's written books before.
Yeah, he has.
I think he has.
Yeah.
Get that guy
There you go.
to get all the players together. It needs one of those guys, not a Steven Larson. It needs one of those guys.
Yeah, not us. No, we that's not in our wheelhouse.
Can David Schilling get some access to that stuff? I don't know. Maybe he can write a book. Anyways, before we continue on with some more news and our Stand and Deliver review, we have some sponsors for today's show. So let's go ahead and talk about them.
Let's take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor, Mint Mobile. Steve.
Yes.
I'm kind of confused. And granted, I haven't taken an English class since like the mid-90s, but I'm going to ask you this.
Yeah.
Is it data or data?
I looked this up, man, And I got some good news for you. You can do either one. You can say whatever you want to say, either of them.
Both are right?
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess regardless of how you say it, I thought it was totally normal to pay a fortune for my monthly data plan. That is until I found out that Mint Mobile's premium wireless plans start at just $15 a month.
That's correct, Larson. With Mint Mobile, you can say goodbye to those outrageous monthly bills and unexpected overages. You see, all Mint Mobile plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text, all on the nation's largest 5G network. And you can bring your own phone and keep your current phone number and all your existing contacts.
So ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. No matter how you say it, data, don't overpay for it. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/raw. That's mintmobile.com/raw.
Upfront payment of $45 for a 3-month 5-gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for the first 3 months only, then full price plan options are available. Taxes and fees are extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
And let's get a word from our sponsor, NordVPN. So, Steve, you talked about it. You've mentioned it. So I got to ask you, you cut the cord. Are you liking it so far? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Huge thumbs up. I'm saving so much money. But the thing is, when I did it, before I did it, I needed to make sure that I could still watch NXT and SmackDown because you need cord sometimes for that stuff. But the great thing is, with NordVPN, you don't need cord. I can change my virtual location so I can catch NXT every Tuesday and SmackDown every Friday. NordVPN is also the fastest VPN in the world, so that means no buffering or lagging, and it also stops my ISP from throttling my bandwidth.
And that's not all, Steve. NordVPN also keeps your private online data, like passwords and bank details, safe. It offers premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee a month. Their threat protection feature keeps you safe from viruses, malware, and phishing sites. Plus, one NordVPN account can be used on up to 10 devices.
To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/raw. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box.
And this episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. I've spoken quite a bit on the show here about my experience going to therapy while I was dealing with severe anxiety in my mid-20s. And while therapy did help me learn the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety, I also found out that in-person therapy can get very, very expensive, with session fees adding up quickly. But with BetterHelp, therapy can feel more accessible and not like a luxury.
BetterHelp offers quality care at a price that makes sense. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat weekly fee for sessions, saving you big on cost and time. Your mental health is worth it, and now it's within reach.
Plus, BetterHelp is completely online, making therapy far more convenient. So 20 years ago, when I was going to therapy, I'd get in the car, deal with LA traffic to get to my appointments. But with BetterHelp, you can join a session with the click of a button so you can fit therapy into your busy schedule, and you can switch therapists at any time.
Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
All right. Continuing on with more news from the world of pro wrestling. Coming out of Wrestlemania, of course, it was announced Saturday that WWE acquired Lucha Libre AAA, a promotion that you and I had followed for quite a while. Now, it seems like they might be considering something that sounds, I'll be honest with you, a bit sacrilegious, Larson.
Agreed.
A name change.
Ugh.
So our friendos over at Cultaholic are reporting that, quote, according to sources, there have been conversations within WWE about rebranding AAA to WWE NXT Mexico. This is simply one option on the table as WWE considers AAA's future, however. Regardless if AAA gets a name change or not, there seemingly will be a change in the creative team of the promotion. Lucha Libre Online reports that WWE's Senior Director of Content Development, Jeremy Borash, will be WWE's representative on AAA's creative team.
So they got to take that option off the table about renaming AAA.
I would love to think that this is one of those plant stories that are trying to suss out leaks in the company. Something so stupid, they would never actually consider it, but like one dude, they think that might be leaking. Hey, yeah, we're thinking of changing this to NXT Mexico. Another dude, maybe somebody else that they're considering linking, saying, hey, we're considering changing Lucha Libre AAA to Lucha Libre Triple H, and then if that leaks out to hey, Going in Raw says, according to sources, they're thinking of changing it to Lucha Libre Triple H, and then that person's found out. Yeah. They were a leaker.
And then we would be the laughingstock of the wrestling community because that's completely not believable in the least.
Completely on brand with us.
Yeah, it's true, though. That's true. So, AAA has been around since 1992. It's an established brand name in the world of pro wrestling. I guess I wouldn't be shocked. But I would be kind of floored if they changed the name.
This is why I would actually be shocked. I'd be shocked. I'd be floored. I'd be surprised, aghast, even. Triple H is a history guy.
He is.
He likes the history.
He does.
I would find it very difficult. Yeah, I don't know about this. I do think that they're probably going to stop with the relentless IP violations when it comes to their, entrance music and stuff.
Oh, they kind of have to with that. Yeah.
But that being
more work
said,
for Def Rebel then.
Hey, they can go down to AAA. No, I wouldn't want to put that. I wouldn't want to put AAA with Def Rebel. That'd be terrible. That'd be awful. Yeah. I don't know, man. No.
Yeah, don't do it. Absolutely not. Don't do it. Don't change the name.
If they did, what's a better name though than NXT Mexico?
Just don't change the name. It's AAA.
What's AAA stand for?
Oh, I don't remember offhand.
Hold on a second. Lucha Libre AAA. Is it just one of those things where it's like they thought that if you look in the phone book, they're the first luchador company you'd find?
Oh, I don't know.
Let's see here. Here we go. The original name was Asistencia, Asesoria y Administración de. Oh, here we go. There's a translation. This is maybe they should change the name because the original name was simply Attendance, Advisory, and Administration of Spectacles. That sounds like a government efficiency name or a government department.
It does, yeah.
This is it's merriment and choreography.
Yeah.
Attendance, Advisory, and Administration of Spectacles. Does that change your mind at all?
No, not at all, because it's an established brand in the world of wrestling.
I will say this. The logo could use a freshening up. And I have felt this way for a while.
Yeah.
You know why? The logo has a metal gradient.
Yeah. You don't like gradients for the most part. I'm aware of this.
I just don't. They're not. You can't use them universally. I'm a fan of using something that can be translated to a vector image.
Yeah.
Which is like, ones and zeros basically.
Yeah. It's hard to do with metallic gradients especially.
And
then you try to print that on something. That could be a little tough too.
What about this? How about this? Lucha Libre Championship Mexico. LLCM.
I suppose if they want to go that route, I guess they could.
What about this? Because WWE is World Wrestling Entertainment.
Well, now it's just WWE. It doesn't stand for anything anymore.
Well, I know, but similar to AAA isn't still Attendance, Advisory, and Administration. I mean, it's AAA Lucha Libre Worldwide or the Lucha Libre AAA Worldwide.
Yeah.
What if they just got rid of the AAA? Is Lucha Libre Worldwide? LLWE, Lucha Libre Worldwide Entertainment. Well, that's a mouthful.
That is.
LLW. LLW's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Lucha Libre Worldwide.
Still, I mean, it's AAA. Just keep it AAA. Don't change it. Don't even consider changing it.
I would say this. Certainly don't change it to NXT Mexico.
Absolutely not.
That's a hard nay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a hard nay.
Speaking about something that's probably, I imagine, a yay from both of us, and that's Rusev coming back to the world of wrestling.
Yeah.
Specifically, he made his return to WWE last night on Raw after Mania, according to Deadline.
Mm-hmm.
That's an entertainment news.
Yeah, it
source.
is. It's a real one.
Rusev signed a 2-year deal with the company. Additionally, CJ Perry, Rusev's wife, who of course performed as Lana in WWE, signed a Legends deal with promotion. And she said of Rusev's return the following, quote, Rusev is back to crush the WWE, become world champion. We have been cooking this up from our Bulgarian kitchen since the day we left, and with the help of Paradigm, we were able to make this reality. Machka crush.
Machka crush indeed. I did see he did speak a little bit on their social media on his way back from his debut. It was kind of standard Rusev. He didn't really say anything about God. He did say, I'm back to take what I deserve, everything, something like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I still think that little Easter egg maybe of thank God for the New Day and then Rusev comes down. Hopefully that means something.
Hopefully that means something. You know, it doesn't have to be necessarily a character inspired by the Redeemer, though I'd really appreciate that. What I really liked most about the Redeemer is that there was like complexity and layers to the character.
Yeah, even if you can come up with something that
Completely different, but has that level of depth.
It has a hook to it. It's
Exactly.
got something that, yeah. But boy, the Redeemer stuff.
Oh, so
You know, I
good.
know you always say it doesn't have to be this. I say go directly from one to the other.
I'd be fine with that.
That
They picked
character shows up in WWE.
If they picked up where Rusev felt like was a good point to leave off in AEW and just pick it back up, sure, I'd be ecstatic about that because I loved his work as a Redeemer in AEW.
Neck of Sand. Oh, that was so.
Oh, it
good.
was so good.
It
He's
was
such a good
really
promo.
stuff. It was an awesome promo. Yeah,
He's
and
so
it felt
good.
heavy. Had
Yeah,
gravitas.
there was
to
always
it.
weight and gravitas. That's a good word to what he was saying. All right, Steve, I want to get your take on this.
Awesome.
Apparently, Universal title, no way.
Yeah.
So apparently it's finished because first of all, WWE hasn't even referenced the Universal title or its lineage when talking about the WWE undisputed WWE Championship seemingly for months. And today, people started noticing on WWE.com that when you go to the Universal Championship page, it's listed as retired.
Wow. It's going to
So
Florida.
apparently the title and its lineage is no longer a part of the WWE Championship, undisputed WWE Championship, whatever they're going to call it going forward.
I mean, Cena referred to it as the Undisputed Championship. The world title is basically a mid-card title.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's good. It's one of those things where I know we get a lot of people care about this stuff, and I get it. You know, they want to know, they want a concrete idea of like what history is here.
I have an idea why this is.
Hold on,
Because
I want to guess what your idea is.
sure.
Is this a jokey thing or a real thing?
No, this is a real thing.
It probably has something to do with marketing and or merchandise.
No, it has to do with lineage. If Cena's coming out there and saying this is the title held by Bruno and Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels and Roman Reigns and Cody, he probably doesn't want the additional lineage of the Universal title kind of making that in any way kind of messy.
Okay.
So they're just going to take the Universal title aspect of it out of it entirely and say this is the title of Bruno, the title of Hogan, the title of Macho Man. Just to simplify it.
Let me ask you this. Boy, this is going to be a brain teaser for you. Does that then mean Finn Balor and Braun Strowman are no longer world champions?
I mean, that's a question we got to ask, I suppose. No, because it's not like I guess it's a situation where it's not like they essentially vaporize the title out of existence.
Yeah.
It still existed. They're recognizing its existence. However, they're just saying it's no longer active.
I feel like this is, I think you're exactly right. I think they're simply trying to simplify things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no more ambiguity. Yeah, they haven't said the word universal in forever.
Nope.
It's probably just kind of like, I wonder if they kept it as long as they did on the website. Because, yeah, for the longest time, when you go click on Cody Rhodes, it said Universal and WWE Champion. And I wonder if that was simply because, well, we're pretty sure we're going to get rid of the Universal thing, but we're not entirely certain how we're going to handle that. So let's just hold off on that. You know, I mean, it's as stupid and simple as that.
I mean, a lot of people were saying, well, if the Undisputed title is the combined WWE and Universal, when Cena wins it, would he be at 18 reigns then, if this technically considered 2 belts?
Oh, dude, yeah.
So if they want to dispose of that notion, if they want to simplify the lineage.
All the reasons were given are probably all the reasons. I don't know if there was one. It was just like, let's simplify it. There's just a headache there.
Yeah.
You know, but so yeah, that's cool. I mean, Finn Balor was still that champion, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, he's part of that.
Kevin Owens was still
Universal because Kevin Owens was not. I'm trying to think who was Universal but not WWE.
Yeah, Kevin Owens.
Braun, Kevin Owens, Finn. Is that it? It's probably it, isn't it? Jinder was WWE.
Might be. Let me double check.
Bray was WWE.
I think he had... Didn't Bray have both?
Yeah, Bray had both, but I'm saying like who was one and not the other. Bray was WWE and Universal.
Let's see. So Finn, KO, Goldberg. He was WWE champion in his first run with the company.
No, he was...
Was he World Heavyweight
I
champion?
think he was World Heavyweight.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Because that's when, I mean, that was... But that, you know, when Triple H was the big dog, I mean, that lineage is sort of folded into the WWE title, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Because they eventually merged them.
Yeah, they did.
I think it's folded. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Because I think... I have to go on the website how they officially view it, whether they view the current World Heavyweight Championship as an extension of the previous one or not.
So, like, if you were the big gold title guy, that counts towards your total count as world champion. But you're not that. But you were not you were not WWE champion. So no, that lineage isn't folded into it. But I feel like the Universal one is folded into whatever this one is. I think.
So right now, it's on WWE.com, they're considering the World Heavyweight Championship, the current one, a brand new title.
No, I knew that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay. Well, you know, whatever. I guess
it simplifies things a little bit.
It's some house cleaning, I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like it's some spring cleaning. You know, let's get our ducks in a row here.
Because on .com, they only recognize the original World Heavyweight Championship from 2000 to 2019.
From 2000, to 2019?
Yeah. So it's time within W. They don't recognize it as whatever, title holders were prior to it being brought into the company.
Yeah, lineage is kind of they unnecessarily made it kind of a messy thing.
They did.
You know, it's like, I get it. When they had the WWE Championship, they want to do the split brand thing in 2016, and they came up with a Universal title. They really should have just brought back the big gold belt. Mm-hmm. But Vince was obsessed with the network logo title, and he wanted to do something new. Yeah. And for a second, that was the major title in the promotion, and the WWE one was the secondary title. All that was it's just all at Vince's whims. And, I understand why he's more, I don't know. You come up with a new idea. I want to run with this idea. I get it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, man, we really need to focus on Friendo Club. And sometimes I'm like, oh, man, I got to shore up my Wrestle Juice. And sometimes I'm like, going in Raw really needs to.
It's hard to do all things at all times.
You focus on different things when you're inspired by those particular things.
Exactly.
Let's talk about NXT call-ups, man. Talk about inspired, because we've got a stacked roster in NXT, and while a draft for WWE has yet to be announced, if last year was any indication, we could be heading into draft season now that WrestleMania 41 is in the books. Now, usually with the draft comes NXT call-ups, and BodySlam.net has some info on a couple names who could be in contention to be brought to main roster. The site reports Body Slam's own Corey Hayes has learned there's been discussions about a potential call-up for Trick Williams, as he's expected to be called up. Another name being thrown around is Lola Vice. Haven't done a lot with Lola Vice lately.
No.
She was in the ladder match.
Yep.
But like in terms of like stories and whatnot,
it's been a while. It's been a while. She had a series of underground matches She was on TV involved in stories quite a bit for a while, not so much of late. Especially with Trick not winning at Stand and Deliver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I honestly, ever since he lost the title, it seemed like it was just a matter of time before he got called up.
Yeah, right.
And I would imagine once the draft is announced, assuming it is going to be like last year, shortly after Mania, I would expect Trick to get drafted, Roxanne Perez. In the case of Lola Vice, the depth in the NXT women's division is insane.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
And Lola Vice is great. She knows her character. Mm-hmm. She's found a way to work her MMA background into her in-ring style.
Yeah.
And if the idea is in NXT Creative, we got our next women's North American champions mapped out for a while. And if Lola Vice doesn't necessarily factor into those plans, she's ready to get called up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, they've done kind of all they really can with her if she's not factored into long-term NXT plans.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it will be interesting this year to see what the continuity is between NXT and the draft. If, like right now, Hank and Tank are the tag champions. Well, you got to assume they're not going to get called up, but maybe Fraxium will. And this just happened at Stand and Deliver, so we're not going to get an awkward situation where people are sitting in the, honestly, I don't even like, I don't know. How do you feel about this? Like when, for example, Dijak got called up. Yeah. And everybody is sitting there in the Performance Center, and they're like, oh, hey, Dijak. But then they don't have any plans for the guy.
Yeah.
Like, no call-up unless they got a plan for you, right?
Oh, agreed, yeah. Agreed. There's got to be a plan if they're going to call him up. Fraxium is the one instance where I think it'd be actually a really good idea if they were still tag champions to call them up, because it played into their story.
You can tell the story of their breakup after they come up. Like, this can be a longer term thing. That continuity, I think, is really, that's going to be, it's such a big reason for people when they come up to main roster. You can do like some video packages or whatever outlining their story, and their first interview, Nathan Frazier can be like, yeah, man, we're really looking forward to going after the tag team titles, but I also got my eye on that Intercontinental. It's like, whoa,
yeah.
Introduce that, and it's continuity, and the people who are watching NXT are rewarded. I mean, that was the promise of the call-up situation anyways, man. And then Vince just completely ran it off the rails, and Triple H has been a little bit better with it.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be interesting is if Fraxium gets called up to be a part of Seth's group, but it was a situation where the call was made to Frazier, and he accepted for both of them, and Axiom's like, I don't really want to do this.
I know. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
That's good stuff right there. That is good stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes the ideas we come up to, I just wonder if they're too hard to pull off. Like in terms of logistics and whatnot. Because there's so much. I mean, honestly, that's sort of why I feel that all stories aren't on fire all the time. Because they just haven't figured out how to coordinate everything. And it's pro wrestling. There's so many moving parts.
There's
I guarantee you, if they were like, Steven Larson, you're getting called up, you're the brain trust. By week 3, we'd be like, the fuck do we get ourselves into? This is so hard.
I know.
Come on, guys, let's get on the private plane and talk about it. I don't want to get on a plane.
I'm tired of planes.
Planes, no way.
We're flying all over the place.
You guys planes. Don't like the grind. When did we ever say we like the grind?
Yeah. We work from home purposely. We don't go to the office.
We don't even have an office anymore.
Because it felt like a grind. We don't want grind. No grind.
No grind. Anyways. Would you like to talk about Stand and Deliver?
Let's talk about Stand and Deliver. It's NXT's Wrestlemania.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people, I saw a lot of comments out there. Stand and Deliver greater than WrestleMania. I don't know about all that.
Well, I mean, it's obviously that's subjective. I thought there were some really good matches on the show. I thought the main event was outstanding.
Oh my God, that was so much fun.
That was so good. The urgency and the pace of that match was so good. The tag title match was really good. Fraxium, best tag team in wrestling.
Yeah, I had a problem with that outcome, man.
I know you didn't like the outcome, but it makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Fraxium, a team who barely gets along, lost to the team who are best friends. It's as simple as
Fraxium,
that.
no, Fraxium established their dominance by not getting along. That was the algorithm that worked for them.
So many times they lost by they won. They averted defeat by chance. How many times in their tag team defenses does one of them hit a move on the other one inadvertently?
Didn't
it happened all the time. No, the Hardys beat them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that was for the TNA time. Boy, that was dumb. They should have beat the Hardys.
They should have beat the Hardys.
They beat a lot of good tag teams.
They did.
And then like now the NXT tag division, it's like deep, but it's not strong. It's a lot of inexperience.
They got to establish some teams now.
Yeah. Hank and Tank went through that gauntlet against a lot of teams with inexperience, and they found their shit. That's fine.
Yeah.
But Fraxium is head and tails above those other teams. I'll be honest with you. Look, it's wrestling. Any team can win. I get it. That's not actually my problem. My main problem is the story shifted from Fraxium to completely Hank and Tank, and I feel like it short-shrifted Fraxium's story.
Okay, I don't necessarily disagree with that.
That was my problem with it going in. Going into it, that's why I did terrible predictions, including accidentally picking Gunther, right? So I'm not going to I'm not going to say, oh, I had this. The reason why, and I still think it's a sound reason, why I thought Hank and Tank would come up short at Stand and Deliver. I'm not upset about it. I think it's great. I like Hank and Tank. I think they're a fun tag team. They got tons of personality. Because the story has been so centered on them that they should have come up short first against Fraxium, but by a little bit. And then you tell the actual Hank and Tank Fraxium story. Same thing with, for example, Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. They never told the LA Knight Jacob Fatu story.
No, they didn't.
It was like Jacob Fatu against Braun Strowman trying to get to LA Knight, and then they had a week until the match.
Yeah.
And I just think that when you have a team like Fraxium, that's such a big deal. Their story is kind of important. Them losing the titles is an important story into itself.
Maybe this is why they decided to kind of bypass that, because they're getting called up and they're going to continue the story on main roster.
I hope so. Look, I'm sure that could totally be the case. You know, Triple H makes the call to Shawn Michaels, says, "Hey, get your dudes ready, get the titles off them because they're coming up." And so he tells this great story with Hank and Tank because they're going to be the champions. And that's totally fine. It is kind of the thing about NXT, though. If what you're saying is true, it's like a AAA team. Kind of. Can't get too invested in this particular story because it can go away just like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been my perspective on NXT. Is I made the analogy to a minor league baseball team, a AAA baseball team, a lot.
I stole that analogy from you. I'm getting
that's fine. And so, like, for example, here in Sacramento, we have the River Cats. They've been the Oakland A's AAA team for years. Now they're San Francisco Giants. Some players will come through for a matter of months before getting called up. If you're a fan of the River Cats, you're a fan of the logo on the jersey and the logo on the hat, because you won't get to know, for the most part, the players well enough. It's interesting to see players' journeys from one level of minor league up to the majors.
Sure,
and that's the same with NXT. You see them develop, you see them harness their skills, you see them improve, and you could follow those same talents on to the major leagues, if you will. But those players are not in AAA, generally speaking. It's not like Crash Davis in Bull Durham, where he's the catcher there for 15 years, however long it was. Yeah. That happens rarely. Those players are there for a season, maybe two, before they move on or get traded. Yeah, or whatever.
And so in NXT, it's difficult to get to. I mean, look, there are certain people. Obafemi's probably going to be champion for a while.
Yeah. There's certain cornerstones of NXT who are going to be there for a while, and that generally does not happen in minor league baseball.
Yeah, but like with NXT, you do get to track their story all the way, but that's why NXT is kind of just like a single chapter for a lot of people, and then you can follow that story going on. But it also, for me personally, I know this is not a universal thing. I'm probably in the minority here. But like that's why NXT doesn't really hit usually for me because the lore is, it's a lot emptier than it is on main because they're newer. And yeah, it's just like their first chapter. And I think that stories are so much more compelling when you have a lot of history to look back on and reference and mine for the stories on main roster.
Yeah, and also, it seems like NXT's booking philosophy is not nearly as long-term as it is on main roster because at any given moment, Sean get a phone call, hey, we're calling this wrestler up.
The stories
so
have
you
to
don't be an
much
evolved storyline and then lose that talent.
The stories have to be much more. This sounds like a slam, and it's kind of not, but it, in a way, is the reason why it keeps me. It has to be a bit more one note. Fraxim has been on the verge of a breakup for a very long time. They've done the same thing for a very long time. Both guys want singles gold, and HBK has been very creative, and this has probably been one of his better stories told between these two guys, because it's two guys, you get to see their chemistry be built through despite their own ambitions. And so it has been interesting to see Frazier pull double duty and he gets his nose broken in the first match, and then later on he's got to compete for the tag titles and they barely eke it through. That's really good stuff.
It is.
But it's one story that they've mined for a very long time now. It's just the performers and the way they've told that story has been very compelling. And I guess that's sort of like the way I'm spelling that out right now. My enthusiasm for it plays into why, really? They just lost the titles like that to Hank and Tank? Really? But
it's because Hank and Tank are friends, Steve. Power of friendship.
That's, having been your friend for 30 years, it's kind of an overrated thing.
I'm not saying it has to resonate with you. I'm saying that's the story.
Look, I don't disagree. It's finding their own way.
Exactly. Together.
As friends.
Yes.
The power of friendship.
So, let's just get into it. Stand Deliver, pre-show, one match. Really fun 4-way elimination tag match. Wait, was this elimination?
Yes,
it was.
Yeah.
That saw Cora and Roxanne Perez team up for a little bit. Didn't last very long.
I picked Cora and Roxanne to win this thing, and then they got the first elimination, I think. And I was like, why is he saying they're eliminated?
And then Roxanne just decides, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Metaphor, Lash and Chikara. Fatal Influence, and then Gigi and Tatum. So, as mentioned, Cora and Roxanne were not the first eliminated. They're the second team eliminated. Lash ends up getting taken on the match first after Roxanne hits her with the Pop Rocks. And then I didn't really feel like, Roxanne's decision to walk out on Cora didn't even feel terribly motivated. It's not like they're in a super bad way in this match.
Yeah.
She just kind of decided, I'm done.
Yeah. I don't really get it.
Yeah. So anyways, Gigi and Tatum both end up rolling up
Cora. What they should have done?
Huh.
To our point about the call-ups and stuff?
Yeah.
Do what they do sometimes, like in basketball games near the trade deadline. The coach will pull somebody if they get word that they're getting traded.
They'll do that in baseball if people get traded mid-game.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Come on, you got to come out because you're getting traded.
Yep.
It's the middle of the game. Somebody should have come out. Somebody come out. You're getting called up to SmackDown. You're out.
There you go.
Sorry, Cora.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So then, let's see. Next elimination sees Gigi and Tatum hit their finisher on JC to get the win. So they're facing Liv and Raquel on NXT tonight. Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
It was a fun match.
Yep.
Really, the pace was great. Really fun match.
Yeah, good stuff.
The main card kicked off with North American title match, Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page. That spot where Ricky gets or flies out and hits the announce table.
It looked rough.
That did look rough.
Yeah, these guys got beat up
and Page gets out of the way. There was a similar spot in the tag match too.
Yeah.
Where Hank
The
Hank's
tag
just
one,
kinda
the tag one was hilarious because like it looked like nobody was there and he just did it for fun.
I know the way he landed on the announce table is almost perfect.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He does a suicide dive and just like kind of like lands sideways and slides in the table in the perfect position where he's just laying there on his tummy.
And everybody's staring at him. It was a pretty funny spot. I don't know if it was meant to be like that goofy, but it was.
It really was. Ricky gets the win here. He escapes a twisted grin, hits a spear, Rochambeau. This one really wasn't in doubt. We knew Ricky was going to get the win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, dude, Paige is going to that. When is the TNA? Is there a TNA match coming up that he's? Or
yeah, he's facing Joe Hendricks at the next pay-per-view, I think.
When is that?
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to TNA anymore. Once they stopped streaming on Twitch, it's like 3 months I kept watching after that.
Ooh, I got another question for you.
All right.
If WWE is going to rename AAA to NXT Mexico, what is WWE going to rename TNA if they acquire TNA?
Would it be NXT TNA? NXT TNA?
I was hoping you'd try to find some sort of geographical location for TNA.
Well, I guess it'd be NXT Canada because I think they're still like Anthem is based in Canada.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Canadian
okay.
Company. I don't know. I don't think TNA shoots most of their stuff.
Yeah, right.
In Canada, but I guess if
that'd be if they acquired Maple Leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah. But TNA, NXT Nashville. That's where they first started running shows out of.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd try to stump you there. Anyways, where are we now?
Oh, tag title match. Hank and Tank, honk honk. Take it on Fraxium. This match was tons of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun. And Hank and Tank are super over. And you got to appreciate going back to when Hank was a security guard.
Yeah.
I mean, there is something to be said about being able to track somebody's story. It's a very My Rise thing. They want 20 years from now to be able to track Hank from being a security guard all the way through to whatever his ceiling is, which I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. But it is pretty interesting to see someone's development from day one.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And track it as they kind of rise up the card. Maybe, hopefully get called up. Enjoy some measure of success on the main roster. It's interesting to see.
It is. No, absolutely.
So we mentioned the spot where Hank kind of just does a slide. He does a suicide dive, ends up kind of sliding onto the top of the announce table.
I think like Axiom was there. That's his target was Axiom.
Yeah.
But by the time the camera got there, Axiom was so out of the way, it just looked like he did that for shits and giggles.
Yeah. So then Fraxium hits the Spanish Fly Phoenix Splash combo, and Hank leaps off the announce table to break up the pin.
Mm-hmm.
Axiom hits Hank with some kicks. Tank drops him with the clothesline. Frazier takes out Tank with a sling blade looking for the Phoenix Splash, but misses. Hank hits a Boss Man Slam. And then Tank takes out Axiom with a suicide dive. And then Hank and Tank hit Frazier with the honk honk. Follow with their finisher to get the win. And afterwards, Hank and Tank is like, hey, let's shake hands. And Fraxium was like, get those hands out of here. We're hugging.
We're going to hug instead. He kicked the handshake away.
Yeah, Axiom did.
To me, that's a fighting action right there. If he didn't hug him immediately, man, if I was Tank.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Getting smashed.
And then this was random. We had Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller.
Do you want to let the people know who I thought this was, Larson?
You thought it was Abyss.
They showed him before they did the lower.
It's like, what is Joseph Park doing
like,
in
cool,
NXT?
It's Joseph Park. And they says Penn Jillette. I'm like, oh, that's right. They kind of have a similar vibe, right? I'm not crazy, Larson.
No, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. So he's talking about, the process of doing a magic show. So Lexus King walks up and is like, magic's not real. You might be able to fool the simpletons here in Vegas, but you're not going to fool me. So Penn then convinces Lexus King to put the Heritage Cup in this kind of like shark cage type structure. Mm-hmm. So he closes the door, and there's like a curtain or a shade that he lowers. And then you could hear Teller getting in the cage.
Yeah.
And then he says something. And so Penn rips the shade off, and Teller's there, and he gets out of the shark cage.
Yeah. And so for the rest of the show, you see Lexus backstage looking for his Heritage Cup.
Yep. Next up, we had the Women's North American title ladder match. Thea Hale, Lola Vice, Izzy Dame, Kalani Jordan, Zarya, and Sol Ruka. Just as it was going into this match, much of the story of the match was focused on Zarya and Sol Ruka, where Zarya saved Sol from something at least once. Same for Sol. She saved Zarya from a move. In the end, though, Sol Ruka gets the win. We got one Sol Snatcher off the ladder. But then she hit a double one in the corner. The way that she gets, before she gets the title and hits the Soul Snatchers, there's this bit where it's her and Izzy, and they're kind of fighting the top of the ladder, and Izzy kind of pushes or knocks Soul over, but Sol Ruka's got her feet kind of like hooked underneath the rung of the ladder.
Yeah.
And so to knock Izzy off the ladder, she hits her with an up kick.
Yeah.
And then like does a full sit up, and that leads the Soul Snatcher on Izzy. She hits on Izzy. No, it was somebody else. She hits the first one on.
The one from the ladder was on Izzy.
Okay, then she hits another one on Thea. It was Thea and Lola. She hits
in the corner, yeah.
Yeah. And then she climbs up the ladder, get the North American title. There's a lot of really fun stuff in this match. So.
Yeah, this is just one of those matches. She's a champ now because she's speed champion also.
Correct.
There's a couple people in NXT, more than a couple, that have, especially in the women's division, mainly in the women's division, that have that thing. She has it. And I liken her to a degree to RVD in that RVD never needed to do. He could do a promo. He had a couple decent promos. But there is something about his charisma that just connected. And it's in who he is. All the, you and I were always crack up. He'd be on the floor after doing some devastating thing, and he'd just do this, just laid out, and he'd still find a way to do that stuff, the whole effing show stuff.
Or he'd roll in the ring to break the count, look at the ref, and do that.
Yeah,
and then roll back out. Yeah.
And there was just something so dynamic and different and unique about him. And Soul has that thing.
Yeah.
It's not one-to-one, but it's just something about her vibe.
Yeah.
The aura that just connects. It just absolutely connects. And you can say, and it's funny because obviously she does very creative stuff in the ring, and she's picking up the wrestling stuff incredibly ridiculously fast.
Yep.
The Soul Snatcher is a move that you can just watch over and over and over and over again. Even though it's a very specific like setup for it, it's like, oh shit, somebody's in the corner. But you understand why they did this. You understand why she's the one who came out of the homegrown crop, between her and the Jada Parkers and to a degree Lola Vice. Why she is the one who is able to it's not Zarya, it's not Jordan Grace. They're like going to be for the heavyweight or for the main title. But that North American title, just like it was with Kalani Jordan, this is going to be on Soul for a while, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So after the ladder match, we get an interview with Gigi and Tatum. Tatum says it's her first stand deliver, and she got the win with her best friends ever. And then Gigi says we're ready to bring the tag titles back where they belong. Tuesday is going to be their moment.
There's a theme here, man. It's all about best friends.
Yep.
And if you look back on the guy booking this stuff, he had themes of best friends in his past as well. Of course, he had the Clique.
Yep.
All his best friends.
Yep.
Dudes with attitude.
Yeah.
Best friends.
Yep. Best friends.
Triple H, DX, best friends.
Best friends.
There you go.
Tony D, Stacks, friends no more. Because next we had the D'Angelo family taking on Dark State.
There's a lot of balls. A lot of balls across the weekend.
Yeah, there was
Just
a lot of
attack to the
shots to the front
genitalia.
area. Yeah. Including Stacks kicking Tony in the balls to betray him at the end of this match. Allows Dark State to get the win after that triple team powerbomb thing they do.
Always cracks me up when a dude will go through an entire match virtually and then choose to like kick a dude in the balls. Why do you do it at the very beginning of the match? Oh, go ahead. You have a reason.
Tony was awfully aloof the first half of this match.
Yeah, dude, if I'm like
standing there being hella judgmental towards Stax and Luca.
Right. Like Stax and Luca are getting killed.
It's like that one game where Kobe wouldn't shoot the ball.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He just passed.
Just to prove a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. No, he was being kind of a diva in there. He's being all
like leaning against the top rope.
Yeah, if I'm Stax, I'm gonna go start my own shit too. I don't worry about this guy. I was like, oh, I'm trying to take some initiative here, and every time I do it, you yell at me.
Yeah.
You get the cops? Because wasn't that on the go home? Tony called the cops?
Yeah.
Tony, a mob boss, brought the cops.
Well, he says, they're on the take. He said he did mention that, but still.
They're his cops. Okay.
They're his cops.
I forgot that part.
But still, I think the general idea, it was that, and he said, that's not how we handle things. We don't handle things like in the parking lot.
Yeah, that was my big issue there.
We handle things in the ring. Since when, Tony?
Yeah, the mob handles their shit in the streets.
Yeah.
In alleyways and in parking lots.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It is.
It was fun though. What do you think of Dark State, man? Is it one of those questions where it's like come back in a year and ask me?
Yeah, because again, it's obvious. Like Saquon he's the dude in the group.
Dude. He's the dude.
And they're trying to establish everybody's individual personalities, at least in terms of Deion Lennox. He's the hothead. He's the one that loses his temper.
Is that weird to you? Given that we've seen the guy and he seems like, as a character, he was
he was super chill. He just wanted to read books.
He was the most mellow guy, and now I'm supposed to believe that he's the guy saying, get your hands off me. I want to beat this guy up so bad.
Like shoving his fellow faction member just to get at somebody.
Like, why not make that, what's the dude, Osiris
Griffin?
Griffin, yeah.
Yeah.
Make it that guy, because I haven't really seen him before.
I mean, really, they've done, actually, the only real effort they put into establishing personalities is Deion and Saquon.
Saquon just has to talk, and you can see the personality.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sort of the thing. That's sort of like he stands out so much against the other guys.
Yeah. So, it's going to be a situation that, as they team together more, chemistry will get better. Like this match was fun.
Yeah, no, it was tons of fun. Yeah.
As wrestlers, they're entertaining and they're good.
Yeah.
But it's all about the characters and their chemistry together as a faction.
Yeah.
That's what's going to, make or break this whole story.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So after Dark State gets the win, we get a Hank and Tank interview. They say tonight is one of those nights where the output matches the input.
Mm-hmm.
So the work put in, you get your reward for it. And he says, when you join WWE, there are moments, these are the moments you sign up for. These are moments that would not be possible without each other. And we have these moments because of each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're best friends.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know about all that. Maybe we can try to prove your theory by you and I getting into the ring at some point against a tag team.
Steve, we're old. I have a stack of dimes for a neck.
You got like a you got a neck made of sand.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, if you want to put our friendship to the test in something else, in the wrestling ring, not a good idea.
Oh, man, you know what? I'll handle the heavy load. I'll handle the heavy lifting. You just stay on the apron. Just give me some moral support.
This match is gonna last like 90 seconds, man.
No, really? No, you have no faith in me.
You have no training as a wrestler.
I'm scrappy, Larson. I'm scrappy. I don't. Hey, what do they say? I look like John Cena. I don't need to wrestle.
All right.
Hey, come here, Joe DeSoul. Right in the eyes.
All right. We'll see.
Kick him in the balls.
Prove me wrong.
Can you just distract a ref for me? If you just distract a ref, I'll handle the rest of it.
Okay. I can distract a ref.
I'm not getting a wrestling ring. That's terrifying.
Exactly.
Anyways. I got a hell of a chop, though. I chopped the shit out of Trip Rogers. I'll tell you what.
That's probably pretty satisfying, huh?
I need to get that video up. It happened ages ago, but god damn it, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was loud. Anyways.
You're like Gunther over there.
I am.
Next up, we had the 4-way match for the NXT Women's Championship. Julia, Jada Parker, Jordan Grace all challenging Stephanie Vaquer for her title. Really fun bout here. The finish sees Stephanie give everyone, they got the name for that move that Booker T loses his mind over, and he did at Stand Deliver.
Yeah.
Devil's Kiss.
Got that 3 times.
Yeah, once on all her opponents. So then she hits Julia with a series of headbutts, looking for a finisher. Julia escapes that. Julia hits a knee, but then Vaquer rolls out of the ring. So then Jordan Grace hits Julia with Beast Mode. Jada breaks that up, the pin up with Hypnotic on Jordan. Sends Jordan into the ring post. And then Jada puts Julia on her shoulders. Julia escapes that, hits a roll-up, gets a 2. Jada then hits reverse suplex and Hypnotic on Julia. Stephanie breaks up that pin with a spiral tap and then follows with her finisher on Jada to get the win.
Yep.
That closing sequence especially was just bang, 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 really good stuff.
It was tons of fun. Yeah, this match was a blast, man. They're all so great. After that, Lexus is backstage still looking for his Heritage Cup. Can't find it. And then we see Stax running to his car, leaving the arena. Sarah runs up to him, is like, "Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?" And then Luca runs past her and says, "Hey, Stax, what's going on? Why'd you do that?" And he says, listen, keep your phone on you. I'm going to text you. I'll tell you everything. Just meet me. I'll explain everything on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out on Tuesday. Probably like in a segment that really should be in private. Camera's going to be right there.
Exactly. Why? Why is the camera there?
Just look, mic them up. Get the camera behind some road cases and spy on them.
Exactly. Way more effective.
Yeah, man.
Then we got our main event, Trick Williams, Javon Evans taking on Oba Femi. From opening bell to the end of this match, this was phenomenal.
This
the
was
urgency,
so much fun.
The pace, the intensity, the creativity was off the charts awesome. Awesome.
It was. My only problem with this, at the end, Oba Femi power bombs Trick onto... Because Trick, there's like it's like a boom, boom, boom thing where Javon Evans hits both of them with a cutter, falls with a tornado on Oba, and then Trick immediately hits Evans with a trick shot. He's down. Oba then grabs Trick, power bombs him onto Javon. Should have stacked him. Because if Oba gets on Trick, who's on Javon, Javon's like skinnier. He's not going to be able to power out of that. Stacks him.
You just want another stacking scenario. That's what you really want.
I don't think we're ever going to get another stacking scenario.
It's going to be a little while. Outside of like an enhancement talent match. That might
we got to talk to our guy at Action Coast. We need to book some. We need to ask him to book some stacking situations.
Yeah.
Is it possible to do like one show where the entire thing is just...
Well, that kind of loses the effect, though, if every match is like a triple threat and they're all ending a stack pin.
Yeah, but it's one of those things also where it's like, all right, I've had my fill now. I don't need it anymore. We do it once, we're going to want it again. We do an entire show of stacks. We don't need them anymore.
Then you've ruined stacked pin scenarios for the rest of your life.
Ruined or just simply got my fill.
Got your fill, however you want to look at it.
Either way. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, Oba ends up hitting the powerbomb on Javon Evans to get the win. Goyer way to watch this one. It was great.
It was awesome. It was really, really fun.
Fantastic.
Would you like to answer a couple of questions? Because I put up some question threads. I know, like, I figured I didn't know you were going to have so much awesome news in this thing today, man. So
yeah, there's a lot out there.
Question threads. I know. I got some decisions to make in terms of a friggin' thumbnail.
Oh, you've got to put The Rock on there. Rock explains.
Well, yeah, for sure. But then, you know, did Stand and Deliver?
You know, people are asking for our Stand Deliver review. Maybe people will tune in strictly for that.
I know, like, your camera that I got was right here, but act like I'm looking at you with this look.
Yeah.
Okay.
Film Critic says, could you share your star ratings for Stand Deliver matches during the review if you're not planning on doing a separate video?
Ah, shit.
All right, this is just simply off the cuff here.
These aren't official.
No. All right, so the pre-show match. 4-way elimination tag match.
3.
I was going to say 3.25.
Okay.
Pace was good. Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page from North American title. 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. Tag title match. Hank and Tank beating Fraxium.
It would be 4, but I got to knock it for the outcome. 3.75.
Foolishness. 4.25. It was great. Ladder match.
4.25. Shit was awesome.
It was awesome. I'll go 4.25 too.
I love ladder matches.
D'Angelo family versus Dark State.
I'll be honest, man. I really wasn't into it that much. 3 was fine.
Yeah, 3. 3's about right.
Like, it's better. It's not like, oh, it just happened. I'm not dogging it. I'm just saying I wasn't really into it.
Yeah.
I don't think it was much more than a 3.
The women's title 4-way match.
Oh, man. Are you kidding me? Give this one... God damn, this was fun. I'll give this one 4.5. This was awesome.
Yeah, I'll do 4.5. Main event.
Yeah. Main event. We'll go 4.25 on that one.
Wow. Just 4.25?
Yeah. I didn't think it was as good as the women's match.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm going to give it 4.5.
Okay.
The pace, the intensity was great.
Let's see here. Akon here says, you guys are in charge to look for the best theme for Seth's group. What would it be? We get a licensed theme for Seth's group for the new Dangerous Alliance Shield.
It's the first song that popped in my head. Metallica's Master of Puppets.
Oh, that's a good one. That should be Cross's theme.
Yeah.
Because he has like literally a shirt with like a puppet master theme.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Stone Cold Steve Stamkos says, of the 5 women involved in the Raw segment yesterday, which potential 1v1 match would you look forward to the most?
Stephanie versus Rhea.
Probably Julia versus Asuka. I'm sorry, Julia versus Io Sky. I was hoping Asuka would show up yesterday.
Oh, that would have been cool.
She's been on my mind.
Tom here says, if you had to replace one 90s grunge frontman with a member of the current NXT roster, who would it be? What a great question.
That is a great question.
90s grunge frontman. I'd replace the singer of Candlebox with Lexus King.
Candlebox. Wow. Jeez. What are some lesser grunge bands?
Well, I guess it depends on how broad of a definition you have of
I know.
grunge. If it's just bands that, recorded predominantly distorted rock music in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is Collective Soul a grunge band? I don't think so. But they're of that era.
Jesus. You wouldn't consider Bush a grunge band, would you?
Yeah, they were very much influenced by.
Okay, all right. I'd replace, what was his name? Gavin Rossdale?
Yeah.
I'd replace Gavin Rossdale with, and it has to be a current NXT wrestler, or just any wrestler?
Current NXT roster member.
Saquon Sugars.
Okay.
He's got a nice voice. I don't know what the singing voice is like, but he's got a very unique and kind of, one of those infectious voices.
Mm-hmm.
We've already talked about that a little bit. Dead Scene asked, what should Seth's faction name be?
We kind of talked about that last night.
We did. Oh, the Seth Riders.
Gosh.
The Seth Riders.
The Donut Damian Priest denied. Says, with the Wyatt Six being teased at the end of the Slammies, who do you think they will feud with first?
It should be Alistair.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I'm trying to get some of these because there's like a lot of new names here. Jude Masura says, wouldn't it be awesome if Trick or Obafemi joined Heyman and Company? Obo would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty neat.
The amazing OG here says, will Cody be gone until Backlash?
Oh, yeah. I don't think Cody's going to have a Backlash match.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think he's going to have a Backlash
He'll be back in time, at least for the build to SummerSlam, though.
What's after Backlash? Oh, he'll be back by Money in the Bank.
No, maybe he'll be in the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Is Money in the Bank's not in a stadium, is it, or is it?
I think it is.
Is it?
I think so. They're trying to get. We didn't talk about it last night, but Survivor Series this year isn't being advertised as War Games.
That's right. Yeah, it's just Survivor Series San Diego.
Yeah.
Phoenix Captain says, who becomes a main roster champion first, Julia, Stephanie, or Jordan Grace? I think Stephanie.
Main roster champion?
Main roster champion, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Stephanie. So, sorry, Money in the Bank's at the Intuit Dome in the Clippers Arena.
Oh, okay.
So it's not at the stadium.
Okay. Jesse Helsius, what would Nick Khan have to offer you to not sue them after getting run down by Stone Cold? So, like, in general, I wouldn't. If he ran it, number one, I'm paying attention because Stone Cold's on that ATV. I might have my phone out, but Stone Cold's on that ATV. If I see him come into me, I got the instincts. Whoa, back up, right? And then I'd be like, hey, you all good? I'm like, why do you smell like alcohol? But I'd be like, hey, you good? You're like, oh, hell yeah. I'd be like, let's get a selfie. If not, Nick Khan comes over and he's like, hey, fellas, you guys okay? Yeah, but if you want to offer me tickets to next year's WrestleMania in that Real American Beer Suite.
Why not? Why not? WrestleMania tickets for life.
Okay, so here's the thing about that, though. You say that, but I know you're not the type to ask for a ridiculous demand like that.
Usually I'm not the type to ask for anything.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm saying for you. I'm saying for you.
I'm not either. I'm not that guy.
That's the perfect opportunity to start right there, Steve.
Not a chance. No way, man.
Because if that happened, like he ran into the barricade right by me, and I was taken aback a little bit, and people came up, I'd feel like I was an inconvenience to people by asking for something.
There's too much of a spotlight on me at that point.
Yeah,
which is ironic given that we're podcasters.
I just want to be left alone to watch the show, please.
Yeah, like if he said, hey, do you want to come backstage? I don't know. That sounds awkward. Hey, everybody. Who are you? Who's that guy? He's the guy who got hit with an ATV.
Yeah.
He didn't earn this.
What if he said, how about this? We'll comp you your tickets. We'll, pay you the value of your ticket or give you, or even just free tickets next year. I'd be like, okay, that's fine.
Hey, that's great. That'd be very nice. I'd love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Neither of us are litigious either. So, it's not like I was going to.
Oh, I'm not going to go through all that.
No.
That sounds like a lie. I got to hire a lawyer? No way.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Oh, wow. Ignacio says, settle an argument for my son and nephew. They both want to study about film and want to direct one day. Who's a better director, Christopher Nolan or Alfred Hitchcock? One of those guys made Interstellar and the other didn't.
To a degree, gosh. So with Hitchcock's work, I think you really have to view it as a product of its
time
because the things he was doing with the camera and stuff at the time were different, but a lot of that stuff has been parodied so much in since then that you see this stuff that people probably lost their minds when they first saw it, and you're like, what's the huge deal?
Yeah. So, like, obviously, it's subjective. They're both masters of the craft.
Mm-hmm.
So then you gotta boil it down to things like influence, especially with Nolan, historical context because he's still active.
Mm-hmm.
Hitchcock has his entire catalog that has been analyzed and overanalyzed over decades now. I would suggest this: turn them on to Orson Welles. Have them study him.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Welles was, like, Hitchcock might have been ahead of the curve and ahead of his time, but, like, Welles was so ahead of his time that you still look at some of his stuff and be like, God damn.
Yeah.
How'd he do that? That's crazy.
Yep.
It stands the test of time, and I'm not saying Hitchcock doesn't. I personally am not a huge Hitchcock fan. You and I have had this back and forth a little bit recently, where I've endeavored to watch a couple of Hitchcock flicks, and I'm like, I don't know about all this.
Yeah. I think Hitchcock was more into exploring the medium of film, or I should say that was his primary motivation to do a movie.
Yeah.
Is what can I do different here to tell the story?
Yeah.
He did not treat actors well.
No, he literally called them cattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not to say that there's not good performances in his movies. Like Vertigo, acting's great. Rear Window, acting's great. But it's in a lot of ways it's apples to oranges. There's so this vastly different time frames, vastly different directors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if it's like two people who are more contemporaries, then that's a different discussion. Like if it was Tarantino versus Paul Thomas Anderson, you know.
If you had asked something along the lines of who's better, Nolan, Hitchcock, or Kubrick, you and I would both start hitting the Kubrick button immediately.
Yeah, it'd be Kubrick immediately, yeah.
and I think that says a lot about the question. It's like, Hitchcock and Nolan, I don't know. Like, you know, go look through their library and see what you determine. But if you throw Kubrick in there, it's like, oh yeah, it's Kubrick.
No, it's
obviously.
Kubrick. That's Kubrick. Yeah, 1,000%.
All right.
The thing is, you put Kubrick against pretty much any other director, and the answer is Kubrick.
It is. Yeah. No, you and I definitely, I think we bonded over that over the decades.
Yep.
Let's see here. This is interesting. Jay Smooth says, reports of Kathy Kelly training to become a manager. Which wrestler should she manage?
Who's somebody that needs a manager? Let's start with that.
Dude, I don't know. Put her with somebody they never use, Apollo Crews.
Okay.
You know, he could use a fresh coat of paint.
Ryan Luckman says, in the spirit of killing kayfabe that WWE is on right now, what moments from the Attitude Era, Rock and Wrestling Era would have been fun to see in the production style they use now?
Oh, wow. Oof, boy. I mean, you know, if they had one of those awesome, you know, video montages produced for like Hogan versus Andre, I think we had kind of cool, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the major thing is the production value of the video packages are way better.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you look back at the Rock and Wrestling Era.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And also, Ryan, thank you again for helping us out with the note situation this weekend. It's much appreciated.
Shout out to Chris Garrix, too. He's at home. He's fine. He's good. He did our Raw notes last night. So thanks, Chris. Glad you're okay.
He's doing much better.
Yeah.
Nate Cruz asked, what's the best use of Karrion Kross this year?
Oh, man. Universal Champion.
There you go. Agreed.
There is no Universal Championship anymore. But yeah, I don't know. Super high up the roster, like way up there, upper mid card.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, that's kind of all that we've talked about. Most of everything else in the question thread. So that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.